I thought today I would share with you the story of this garment that you see in front of me. This is a story of love, a love letter between me and Pete that I started some months ago, probably actually 2 years ago. So this is a jacket that his mom bought on sale many years ago when she was still alive, that his dad wore while milking the cows. And then when his dad passed away, Pete took it over and he wore it for some time. And here on the sleeves and the elbows, you can see patches that Pete's mom stitched in at some point to mend it when his mom and dad were still alive. So while his dad had it, it wore out in places and his mom mended it for him. And then he wore it again so long that even those patches became worn out. Here the corduroy is worn all the way through on the edges of the cuffs. And Pete wore it after they both passed because it helped him to feel closer to his dad. And it was becoming really threadbare. This fabric over here was starting to become torn and completely worn out. So as it tore in places, I began adding patches to it. And I just kept adding patches. Every time the jacket goes in the wash and it wears another hole, I add another patch. And now, of course, it's taking on a life of its own and it's becoming something completely different. And Pete loves to wear it because the love of his mom and dad and the story of his mom and dad are still wrapped up in this garment. And now, of course, I've added my love to that story. You can see I'm stitching all the way through to the lining to hold it all together. It's just easier to stitch like that than to work just on the top layer. So it's going all the way through to the bottom lining. And the back is not quite as far done as the front is. So I've still got quite a lot of work to do on this. And every time it goes in the wash and comes out, I do a little bit more on it. As you can see, this outside fabric has become kind of stretched out as it's gotten older and more worn. So I found that sometimes what happens is, as I'm adding the patches, it makes kind of bubbles underneath that become quite lumpy. And when that happens, like in a big way, I will sometimes just come and snip this excess away with scissors and then just cover it up. So this layer's got a polyester, this coat has got a polyester lining, and then it's got some batting in it, and then of course this soft outer layer of fabric. So when I cut the soft outer layer away, then the batting is exposed, and then I just cover it all over. The things that I'm using to cover it with, these are scraps of fabric, samplers from when I used to teach. This was actually a fabric that was gifted to me by a friend that came from Central Africa that had been tie-dyed. And some of these are t-shirts and vests that I myself used to wear that either became old and worn out, or else it was one of these is a t-shirt that had that kind of a print on it that's got a plasticky feel that I didn't like to wear against my skin. So I've chopped it up and I'm using it in this piece. And Pete really enjoys wearing it. He says he's going to enjoy wearing it for another 20 or 30 years. So that is the story of this jacket. I hope you enjoyed me telling it.